Our conversation continues. During our last part of this conversation, or I guess that would have been the first part of this conversation, we addressed the issue of success and whether or not success in these times which are a-changing, if the approach to success or being successful has changed. Well, certainly there's a lot of elements of change that are necessary that we need to be aware of, but there are certain foundational truths that I believe we can cling to that will help us move from where we are to a more confident approach to what we want to be successful in. And in fact, in our last session, we talked about that. In our conversation, we said there are three things that are necessary for an individual to be successful. Not one, not two. You have to have all three. You may have one thing or maybe even two of the three things, but you may also be frustrated because success is not happening in the way that you'd hoped or envisioned. So all three elements are critical. And I committed to you that by way of these conversations, we would cover all three. In our last conversation, I introduced the first of the three concepts as being understanding the need to have knowledge and understanding of whatever it is that we are desirous of being successful in. Knowledge and understanding. If you don't remember what we talked about, you may want to revisit that conversation from before. But now I want to move to the second concept. Assuming that we have already committed ourselves to acquiring knowledge and information suitable to help us move forward toward our success goals, the second issue that needs to be considered is skills. Skills. Not only knowing and understanding what needs to be done, but being able to do it. The skills necessary to perform, the skills necessary to progress, the skills necessary to experience the successes that we're searching for or desiring. Now, if you'll remember, I said knowledge equals understanding. Well, I'll make the same corollary. Skills equal application. Ask yourself this question. Do you know some people, maybe even just one person, but do you know someone who has great knowledge and great understanding of a particular discipline, something that they wish to be successful in, and yet their success goals are thwarted because they really don't possess the skills to be able to accomplish that which they're desiring, that which they wish to be successful in? We need to have knowledge and understanding, but we also need to have skills, and skills equal application. The ability to take a skill and apply that skill to a particular point in time that will help us, therefore, then be more successful. I get this question a lot. Are there foundational skills that are necessary to be a leader? I say, absolutely. I don't care whether you're leading in the social realm, in the professional realm, in the theological realm, in the educational realm. It really makes no difference. If we're going to be successful as a leader, there are certain foundational skills that are necessary. Now, you may agree or disagree with the skills that I'm about to identify, but I would argue three skills are necessary to be successful at anything. The skill of planning, the skill of communicating, and the skill of execution. Being able to plan what we're about, planning it, knowing what the first step, second step, third step should be in terms of us moving toward our goal or objective, planning, being able to communicate that goal because others are going to help us along the way. And if we can't communicate or haven't communicated what our goal's in, how can they step in and help? In fact, they may actually hinder us because they're assuming they know. So we need to plan, we need to communicate, and we need to execute. So what am I saying? I'm saying that if you are in fact interested in being successful and you're knowledgeable, you understand what you want to be successful in, and you understand the basics, the foundation of it, then the skills that you need to develop so that you can apply are the skill of planning, the skill of communication, the skill of execution. Now, we're not going to go into all three of those today, even though we probably could, and maybe you would argue we should. But there are books, there are articles, maybe we'll even explore these to some degree in the future. But understand that I've just given you an example of what you need to identify as a skill so that you can learn that skill so that you can apply that skill toward your ultimate goal of being successful. There are many people that would love to be a professional musician, but they don't have the skill of singing or playing an instrument. They have the knowledge, they can read music, they have a good ear, they know what they like, but they haven't dedicated themselves to developing the skill necessary to being a musician. The same could be true in your industry. So what do you do? Well, I would argue that almost any goal or objective that you have in your life, in your work, in your realm, whatever it may be, would benefit by your developing skills as they relate to planning, communicating, and executing toward the ultimate goal and objective of your particular success journey. Now remember, we said there were three. We've now covered two. In our first conversation, we talked about knowledge equaling understanding. In today's conversation, we talked about the ability to have skills which would equal application, being able to apply those skills to our goal. In our third conversation upcoming, well, I'll identify number 3 at that time. I hope you'll stay tuned.